As the Colin Kaepernick saga continues here, he has officially thrown some passes at Michigan spring game. He threw some passes. He looked okay, right? He looked pretty damn good with a quarterback that is a professional athlete or was a professional athlete. Didn't have helmets on, didn't have pads on, had nobody pressuring, and he had his script. Looked okay, right? Threw a couple deep balls that looked, pretty good. If you are a dad throwing to a toddler, right? But hey, we will call a spade at the end of the day. But let's just be honest. Colin Kaepernick is not a good quarterback, guys. He was for a year, the year that he led the 49ers to the Super Bowl in 2013. They lost that Super Bowl, but he went 12-4 that year. Don't get it twisted. He did throw for 58% of his passes for 3,200 yards, 21 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Not terrible, but since then, 8-8. The following season, 2015, went 2-6. His season ended early with the torn labrum in his non-throwing shoulder, the same injury that Baker Mayfield had this past season that played all season long and whatnot. But hey, we digress from that. And then he was eventually benched in 2016 when he went 1-10. 59% completion ratio, 2,200 yards, 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Not terrible stats, but the win columns were not there. Guys, Colin Kaepernick turns 35 years old this year. November 4th, right? He will turn 35 years old. Some notable other 35-year-old quarterbacks in the league: Tom Brady. Colin Kaepernick is not no Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers, not Aaron Rodgers either, right? Matt Ryan, not Matt Ryan either. Guys, let's just face it. Nobody wants a 35-year-old quarterback that hasn't played in the league since 2016. Nobody wants the media headache. Nobody wants a has-been quarterback. It is what it is. Sorry to tell you guys this, but it is what it is. Colin Kaepernick will never play in the league again. Nobody wants him. Nobody needs him, not even as a third-string quarterback. Man Hour Nation, cue that intro. Ready for the best damn radio show on the planet. Man Hour Nation, rise up.
I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that then. While I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know who's coming to the stage. Sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that.
Go. You know that it's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the core. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, then listen some more. On all your stations, not dropping no music. Stripes like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs, you know what's going on. Man, now we're After Dark, no LA, we the big spark. No 4th and inches won't cut short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzz beaters. We coming live all through your speakers, go.
And what is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckcasher here with the Man Hour. Be sure to head over to manhourradio.com. Check out that merchandise page. We got the Man Hour logo merch. We got the Beastie merch. We got the Team Buck merch. And of course, we got the new logo merch up there on this side of the screen right there. Yeah, that beautiful Man Hour logo there. Designed by yours truly here. Yes, it is a little tinkering here and there, but bada bing, bada boom, it is there. Guys, we are part of Belly Up Sports, so you can find us on bellyup.tv and, of course, Apple TV, Roku TV, and coming soon, YouTube TV as well. But guys, if you are new here to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/manhour, be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, because sharing is caring, and also share this to a couple friends. Like, obviously, we do have a great show for you lined up today. Devontae Parker has officially become a New England Patriot. We're going to talk a little bit of AFC East, the quarterback competition that is going there. We got Way or No Way coming up as well. And then, of course, we got an interview with my man from the corner booth, Jared. So Jared from the corner booth will join us here in about a half hour right here on the Man Hour. So sit back and relax for that. Just be prepared. My kids went wild during that little segment. So simmer down now, simmer down now, simmer down now. But guys, buckle up here. Devontae Parker has officially been sent to the New England Patriots for a fifth round pick this year in 2022 NFL draft was 3 weeks away, right? And a 2023 draft third rounder. This trade kind of, it doesn't surprise me too much here because Tyreek Hill obviously was picked up by the Miami Dolphins, and Devontae Parker was kind of the odd man out in the end because you have Jalen Waddle and you have Tyreek Hill. Now, Devontae Parker did have a breakout season in 2019, 72 catches for 1,202 yards. He obviously led the team, and he was doing good things down there in Miami. But since then, since that 2019 breakout season, he has only monstered up 103 catches for 1,308 yards the last 2 seasons. Now, granted, look who the quarterbacks have been the last 2 seasons, right? Obviously, Ryan Fitzpatrick is no barn burner by any means, right? And then Tua, we don't know what we're going to get with him. Obviously, this year is a big proving ground for Tua. But at the end of the day, Devontae Parker is now a New England Patriot, and he gets added to this. Look at this wide receiver core that is happening over here. That's quietly being built in New England. We have Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar. Yes, he was not very, very good in black and silver or in Philadelphia, but last season he kind of came into his own a little bit. We have Jacoby Myers, that young stud that's happening over there. The Patriots pick up Ty Montgomery from the Saints, right? He can play running back / wide receiver. And then you have the two-headed monster at tight end, and Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. So, guys, quietly, this New England Patriots wide receiver core looks pretty solid. Now, it is not going to be the high-flying like the Kansas City Chiefs or the Raiders or anybody just like that. But this is exactly a Bill Belichick-esque type of wide receiver core. A bunch of guys that kind of have been overlooked, kind of like we use that term loosely here. Overlooked, maybe undervalued, and they're going to put together a nice, solid core and a second-year quarterback in Mac Jones. Look for the New England Patriots to do some pretty good things this year, guys. Like, I am pretty excited to see what they can do. And when we look at the AFC East, the first place is kind of up for grabs, and I'm leaning toward a second-year Mac Jones and the New England Patriots with the addition of Devontae Parker here to make some big leaps and bounds. They were a playoff team last year. Everybody counted them out, but they were a playoff team last year. So think about another year under Bill Belichick, a full offseason for Mac Jones, spring ball, summer ball, right? And we still have the draft. So the New England Patriots could be pretty deadly, guys. Also on the flip side of that coin, we look at the Miami Dolphins receiver core. They do now have Jalen Waddle, obviously their first round pick from last year. Tyreek Hill, the $120 million man himself. Trent Shedfield, Cedric Wilson, another Kansas City shun guy there from a couple years ago. Yes, Cedric Wilson. I think he's been with the Miami. It's 3 years now. This is going on his third year. But looking at the Miami receiver core, it doesn't look as eye-popping now that Devontae Parker is no longer there, right? But only time will tell if that Tua to Tyreek Hill connection can happen. If Jalen Waddle can take big leaps and bounds coming up here in the second season as well. But the AFC East now, the AFC East obviously consists of the Buffalo Bills, the Miami Dolphins, the New York Jets, and the New England Patriots. When we sit back and we look at what is happening now in the AFC East, this is quietly becoming a very, very challenging division for the Buffalo Bills. This division is quietly becoming maybe one of the second best divisions in the AFC, obviously behind the AFC West, because the AFC South is, I mean, they're no slouch by any means. Yes, they still got the Colts and the Titans, but I think the Titans are going to take a step back this year. The Colts are still going to be right around the 500 mark. The Jaguars are the Jaguars, and the Texans are just a dumpster fire. And then we look at the AFC North, and we don't know what we're going to get with Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. The Pittsburgh Steelers are kind of in limbo, like at this point. We don't know who their quarterback is going to be. Well, they have Mitchell Trubisky, but is he the answer for long term here? We have the Ravens. I think we all know what I feel about Lamar Jackson. And then you have the Cincinnati Bengals. You know, they are probably going to take a few steps back this season. So I think the AFC East is quietly becoming the second best division in football, but the Jets will finish in last place. The Miami Dolphins, yes, guys, you can have all the pieces that you want. You guys are still going to be finished third in that division. The Buffalo Bills come in at number 2. Yes, I know, Bills fans. I know it. You guys all are up in arms about all these pieces that you've added and Von Miller and this. I get it. Prove it to me. Right? Yes, I know you guys have Josh Allen. Josh Allen is a great talent. Probably the second best quarterback in the AFC, if not the best quarterback in the AFC. But prove it to me. New England Patriots will take this division this year because they have proved it over and over and over and over again. Yes, Tom Brady is gone, but Mac Jones fit in that role just nicely. Just nicely, guys. So, with that being said, guys, we are up against the first break here on the Man Hour. On the other side of the break, we have the infamous Way or No Way. If you guys need that morning shock, that morning little click in that link description below. Shocked Energy is powering Man Hour here on Man Hour AM, guys. Get it going. We'll be right back here on the Man Hour.
I'm home from work and relaxing.
I watch Man Hour while doing dishes.
In bed, hiding from the wife and kids.
What do you do when your husband and kid are obsessed with the Man Hour? You watch it with them.
Have you ever wanted to go to Vegas to see the NFL draft? Well, now you can. Simply head over to youtube.com/Man Hour. Click on that join button, become a $5.99 member or higher, and you get free entry. Simple as that. So head over to youtube.com/Man Hour and hit that join button. You won't regret it.
You're watching Man Hour. Hit that like button, baby.
Man Hour Nation, it's your boy BC Beastie Brandon Combs coming to you with a special message. 22 veterans a day commit suicide. Now, that's 22 too many. And here at the Man Hour, we want to bring awareness to this. Our brothers and sisters deserve our support and our help. With the Take 22 merch, it's a small opportunity to show our appreciation and support to our veterans and take a small step to ending veteran suicide and treating PTSD properly. Every dollar spent on our Take 22 merch will be donated to the cause. So Man Hour Nation, rise up and show your support.
Man Hour Nation brought to you by Brooks Roofing and Siding. Contact them at 812-868-7663 or online at brooksroofingin.com. Brooks Roofing and Siding, protection you need when nature strikes.
And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckcasher here with the Man Hour. You can find me up on Twitter at manhour_buck. You can also find us live right here on youtube.com/Man Hour every Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. East Coast time, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. East Coast time right here on youtube.com. But of course, if you miss any part of the show whatsoever, you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and of course, iHeartRadio. Or if you like the visual aspect of it, the nice visual interaction, we are on bellyup.tv at 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. East Coast time. 2 different shows, so if you guys have missed Man Hour anytime during the last Sunday through Friday, check it out over there. bellyup.tv. You can also find them on Roku TV and Apple TV as well. Simply search Belly Up Sports. 3 words there, Belly space up spot sports. Download that and tell Man Hour sent you. So guys, it is Monday here. Happy Monday. Let's get the week started off right, guys. Have a great week. It's April 4th here. It's going to be a fantastic day. And each Monday here on the Man Hour, about this time of day, we do way or no way. If you guys simply have a way or no way, hit me up on Twitter at manhour_buck. Slide into those DMs. It is open. Or you can at me at manhour_buck with the hashtag way or no way. And we'll get it on air. It's way or no way. It's a very, very simple game. You give me a statement, and I tell you if it's way or no way. Fact or crap, as some people like to say, but we do way or no way here. So I don't have the graphics and sound effects all set up yet here. So bear with me on this. But it is Championship Monday. Duke, it's not Duke. Sorry guys. Sorry Blue Devils. We have the Tar Heels taking on the Jayhawks. University of North Carolina taking on the University of Kansas. Isn't it weird that Kansas goes by KU, like Kansas University, but on all their billboards and stuff, that's University of Kansas? I just thought that was kind of weird. But the first way or no way comes from my man Trace over there on the old Twitter machine. He tweeted at me at manhour_buck. And he says, Buck, way or no way? UNC beats KU in the Roy Williams Bowl tonight. Ooh. So North Carolina is an 8th seed. Kansas is a 1 seed, if I'm not mistaken. Tar Heels beat Duke by 3 points on Saturday night. Kansas dominated Villanova by 12 points or whatever it was. It might have been 20. I think it was 81-63 was that final. Kansas looked like a dominant team. And me being a K-State guy myself, Kansas State University Wildcats bleed that purple from Kansas. It makes me kind of vomit in my mouth every time I talk about Kansas. Let's just be flat out honest about it. I don't like the red and blue. I don't like them. I don't like Bill Self. I don't like Roy Williams. I don't like anything Kansas stands for. They steal our coaches. They lock them in closets. They beat the kids. Whatever. Way or no way. UNC beats Kansas tonight in the Roy Williams Bowl. No way. Sorry, that just made me sick. But no way. Kansas is going to dominate North Carolina tonight, guys. Sorry to say it, but Kansas looks like a team on a mission right now. Yes, they squeaked by Providence. Yes, they squeaked by not Miami. Who else did they play? Can't even think of the other team that they played. But they've been dominant form since they dominated Miami in the Sweet 16. They dominated Villanova on Saturday. Kansas is going to win by 12 plus points. The Kansas Jayhawks are going to beat North Carolina Tar Heels in this Roy Williams Bowl by 12. Why is it called the Roy Williams? Because Roy Williams coached at both Kansas and North Carolina, for people that don't know that. So that is why we're referring to it as the Roy Williams Bowl. So guys, just, there you go. Next way or no way comes from the old Twitter machine at manhour_buck. They use hashtag way or no way. Buck, way or no way? With Major League Baseball opening day being 3 days away, people are way overexcited for opening day. Baseball opening day is kind of like NFL opening day. Actually, no. Baseball opening day is one of the most exciting days in sports world So the answer to that question is no way. People are not over excited about it because it is exciting, because when that first pitch in the baseball opening day happens, spring is here. Like, we officially have spring fever, right? It is supposed to be nice outside, even though it's snowing outside right now here in Indiana, which is stupid. But it is supposed to be nice outside. You're supposed to get a rebirth. You are supposed to get excited about life again, right? All the gloom and dory of the last 3 months with that snowing and icing and being crappy, and Valentine's Day, if you're single, it sucks, and New Year's Eve I think is overrated, and Christmas and all that. Yeah, I do like Christmas, but like past Christmas, like it sucks until now. Like, opening day for baseball it's like, boom, spring is here. It is time to get excited. So no way people are not overexcited about opening day, but once opening weekend is over, baseball kind of goes back to the back burner again. Unfortunately, NBA kind of takes over because the playoffs start here in a couple weeks, right? We have the draft coming up. We have the NFL off-season. Unfortunately, guys, NFL will trump Major League Baseball even in the off-season until about All-Star break time, and then people started getting excited about baseball again. So after the All-Star break, people will get excited baseball like again. But no way, you cannot be overexcited for opening day. Come on, man. Next up, coming on the way or no way. This one come from a Facebook group. So if you guys have Facebook, you can find us on facebook.com/manhoursports. We have a bunch of groups over there. We have trash talk groups for all sports, and then divisionals and NFL and teams and all that other stuff. So this one says, way or no way, the Steelers have to draft a quarterback in this year's draft. So this is interesting, because the Pittsburgh Steelers did pick up Mitchell Trubisky this year from the Buffalo Bills on a 2-year kind of prove it deal, right? I talked to my man Jared from the corner booth here, as you guys will see that see that segment coming up here very, very shortly. When we think of the Pittsburgh Steelers, we think of a team that has their shit together, right? They've had like 3 coaches in 50 years, right? They've had the same quarterback forever, and Ben Roethlisberger, 18 years, and before that, they had Cordell Stewart for a pretty long time. So the Pittsburgh Steelers are like our team that kind of has their shit together, it seems like. So when they traded for Mitchell, or they picked up Mitchell Trubisky in free agency, it was kind of eye-raising to a fact that, the Pittsburgh Steelers see something in Mitchell Trubisky, right? They are just not going to pick up a quarterback just to pick up a quarterback because they don't think Mason Rudolph is the guy, which I don't think he is. So Mitchell Trubisky has been to the playoffs twice with the Chicago Bears. He had a 12-4 season, right? He had a very lackluster relationship with their head coach, as we come and find out. So I'm going to say no way on this. I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers have to draft a quarterback this season to be successful by any means. But if they were to draft a quarterback, it would be good for the quarterback to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a team that is set. They are literally a quarterback away to kind of being that front runner again back in the North, right? Yes, I know we have the Browns and the Ravens and whatnot still, but the AFC North is loaded. But the Pittsburgh Steelers are a team ready to strike right now. They'll be just fine with Mitchell Trubisky at the helm. But if they were to draft a Malik from Liberty, or the kid from Old Miss Connor, right? It would be a great opportunity for them to sit a year. Yes, I know Soup Boss is like out there. Oh, the quarterback doesn't need to sit for a year. But it would be great for them to sit behind Mitchell Trubisky, push him, and we'll see what we really got from Mitchell Trubisky and a drafted quarterback. So they don't have to draft a quarterback this year. So no way on that. But it definitely wouldn't hurt them to draft a quarterback either. So give me a hashtag waffle in the chat, because I definitely waffled around that answer, but it's definitely a no way. They don't have to draft a quarterback this year. Next one here. So, full disclaimer on this one. I do not hate women's sports. Okay, I don't hate it. My wife played volleyball and basketball in college. She beats me on the court damn near every day, right? I don't hate women's sports. I watch high school basketball all the time, girls basketball and tennis, and so I just want to put that out there. But this one comes from the old Twitter machine at @manhour_buck with the hashtag way or no way. This one comes from Trent. South Carolina versus UConn made you like women's college basketball? No way. This one is a complete no way, unfortunately. I do not like watching college women's basketball on ESPN or whatever. Like, I will watch it live. Like, I will go to a game and like, I will watch it, but I will not go out of my way to watch a women college basketball game. South Carolina did beat UConn 64-49 in their second ever championship, which is congratulations for them. They were a very dominant team all year. I did get an opportunity to watch them when they played Kentucky. And like we got to watch the game live. It was a very, 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 very fun game. But South Carolina had 49 rebounds. UConn had 49 points. Like, it was just. I don't want to go into this. Like, no way. I don't want to go out of my way to watch women's sports. WNBA, basketball. Now, I will watch volleyball. I enjoy volleyball. We had what's her face from Kentucky on it. Her name slipped on my mind right now. She was the SEC Player of the Year 2 years ago. But yeah, I mean, college volleyball is very enjoyable to watch. Me and my wife watched the whole SEC and the Big Ten tournament, and then the NCAA tournament. It was a lot of fun, but I'm also not going to go out of my way to watch it though either. Does that make sense? So no way on this one, unfortunately. So final way or no way of the day, LeBron James. LeBron James is the GOAT. Let's just say it is here right now. LeBron James is the GOAT. But they hit me up on Twitter at @manhour_buck with the hashtag way or no way. LeBron James' career is over. Way or no way. So guys, LeBron James has been playing basically every other game, right? The Lakers are two games out of the play-in game, or for the play-in tournament behind the Spurs. LeBron James is 37 years old, still averaging about 40 minutes a game. No way his career's not over. Look what he's done in the last, in the month of March here. So we'll throw April in there too. He had 38 points on April 1st. Then he had 39, 38, 38, 36, and he had a 19-pointer. That was kind of a odd game out there. Then 30, 31, and then a 50-pointer, 23 and 56, 26, 26. LeBron James is still playing at a very high level. Yes, he's playing every other day, but LeBron James knows that the Lakers are out of this chance to make it to the postseason, right? He knows that there is no sense of breaking down his body on back-to-back games when, hey, I can play 40 minutes, sit for 40 minutes, right? Like, he knows his body. LeBron James is just like Tom Brady. He will spend millions upon millions of dollars in the postseason taking care of his body, getting him right for the next season. Now, LeBron James last year did have his first ever, injury that I can recall that he was out for multiple games, right? Or hell, he was almost out for a month with that growing or whatever it was. But no way LeBron James's career is over. He has flat out said that he wants to play with his son. Well, his son's a sophomore, I think, maybe a freshman. Either way, there are 4 or 5 years left in LeBron James' career, just because the GOAT decides when he wants to go. It is what it is. We'll be right back here, guys, on Man Hour.
Liking this matchup a lot. I give a slight edge, Mike, to Marquette because they're playing on their home court, and Marquette's been taking care of business on the road. Are you ready for the best damn radio show on the planet? Man Hour Nation, rise up.
On me every time, though. I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that why I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cole. You know they don't want to talk to us about there right now. I second that.
So, you know that it's us when we talk about sports, giving you facts on the field to the court. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, to listen to all. No, your station not dropping no music. Stripes like Adidas. Station not dropping no music. Stripes like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs, you know what's going on. Man, now we're out the dark, no LA, we the big spark. No 4th and inches won't cut short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzzer beaters. We coming live all through your speakers. Go.
You're watching Man Hour. Hit that like button, baby.
Man Hour Nation, it's your boy BC Beastie Brandon Combs coming to you with a special message. 22 veterans a day commit suicide. Now, that's 22 too many. And here at the Man Hour, we want to bring awareness to this. Our brothers and sisters deserve our support and our help. With the Take 22 merch, it's a small opportunity to show our appreciation and support to our veterans and take a small step to ending veteran suicide and treating PTSD properly. Every dollar spent on our Take 22 merch will be donated to the cause. So Man Hour Nation, rise up and show your support.
And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckasher here with a special guest from the corner booth, Mr. Jared himself. Jared, what's going on today, man?
Mike, thanks for having me, brother. I appreciate it.
Well, first things first, tell the people what corner booth is all about.
Well, the corner booth, basically, guys, is a place where guests come on and they crack a beer and they talk like they would at a sports bar. Basically, my thought was, why are all these radio shows and all these podcasts, every athlete acts like they've got a stick up their butt, right? They really have, like, they're all, like, uptight. There's no real authenticity. So about 3.5 years ago, me and a co-host of mine decided, hey, let's start a podcast where people actually can be themselves and talk and crack a beer and just enjoy themselves. So 3 years ago, the corner booth was born, and now it's kind of grown its own animal. It's going almost done with season 7. Season 8 will start August 1st for the NFL season, so it should be a good time.
Yeah, so that's exactly what the Man Hour is we are just live, raw, and cut, and we speak what's on our mind, and we don't really give two shits about what you think about it. So we are going to have you on here, basically just to speak whatever you want to talk about. Obviously, you are a college basketball guy, and some stuff has happened with the college basketball, and your anxiety was through the roof this weekend, as you said pre-show. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that. What are your initial thoughts of the Final Four?
Well, so I was a little disappointed. I wanted a UNC Villanova rematch because that Chris Jenkins jump shot back in 2016 was one of the darkest nights of my life. That, if you people don't remember, North Carolina Villanova 2016, Marcus Page, it's a game tying 3. Chris Jenkins in overtime hits a game winner at the buzzer, and I just sat there like in shock. And then it was cool for Villanova, but every time I see that moment, I still picture it. So I wanted a rematch, obviously, between North Carolina and Villanova, and also the two underdogs, better for betting odds, obviously. But yeah, Kansas is just they have all NBA guys, and Villanova's got a bunch of fifth-year seniors. So honestly, that game was kind of blah. I watched 20 minutes of it, and I was like, this is getting really boring because, like, I'm watching Villanova just get outclassed. It looked like It looked like a team like I don't even like Phoenix, Minnesota, or one of these like actual good playoff NBA teams playing a bottom feeder squad like Houston. It looked like they were outclassed. So, but last night at 8:50 till about 11:30 last night was probably one of the greatest college basketball games I've ever seen between Duke and North Carolina. That game was back and forth. I think the largest lead Duke had was 7, and the largest lead North Carolina had was 6, which is what I think the final score was. Up until that final shot by Caleb Love, I think that the game was neck and neck. And then that 3-pointer by Love at the end, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's on every social media site that exists on Twitter, Instagram, whatever.
It was a beautiful shot.
It was a dagger. It was just like the place erupted. I have a buddy who works for Barstool Sports and a few other spots. He was in the arena. He goes, dude, the place erupted. And a couple thoughts, like one, Caleb Love, I said this to a friend of mine this morning in the gym. I said, this kid is Kobe Bryant-esque, where it's like, it's effortless, and he's got no fear, and he hits shots.
Come on, man. Kobe Bryant.
Bro, listen, it's the type. It's not he is going to be Kobe Bryant. He's Kobe Bryant-esque. When I say, like, because I'll talk about this in a little bit with my draft comparisons and everything else, but I look at guys for the prototype they fit.
Okay.
They're not going to be just that. Like, when I was in college, I said Andrew Wiggins had Tracy McGrady-esque, like, talent. But did he have Tracy McGrady's killer instinct? No. So it unfortunately, like, these guys, they get these comparisons. People automatically think, oh, that's their be all end all comparison. No, they're a prototype. So Caleb Love, to me,
I follow you.
A lanky, athletic, polished shooting guard with freak athleticism and a dagger of a jump shot and no fear when he shoots. And so that's why I'm like, oh, this. And I watched this guy take 2 dribbles, 3 steps to the basket and glide around 2 guys trying to take a charge and hit a layup. And I'm just like, that's just unhuman athleticism and grace and like ability. And I watched him basically just be the dagger in the side of him and Brady Maddock, who, oh my God, that man was like a roller coaster of emotions, missing free throws, bad fouls, but then hits a clutch tying 3. This North Carolina team's an anxiety attack. That's all it is.
Yeah. So let's flash back to Kansas here a little bit. Me being a Kansas State fan, I know all about the KU Jayhawk crap, and I'm a K-State alum. So the hatred for Kansas in me is pure and to the bone. Mm-hmm. But when I saw Kansas on the floor last night, I'm like, they are going to win the national championship. They look so damn good. And I know you are a North Carolina guy, but I don't think North Carolina can compete with Kansas.
Here's my thing, though. It's like, that was my thought last night. I was like, okay, maybe we might be a little class. Kansas has such great talent, but so did Duke. Duke has 4 guys who are going to be drafted in the next 2 years in the top 10. Kansas, 2 guys as well. The game that kind of stuck out to me was, well, one, Villanova, but when they I think it was Elite 8, Sweet 16. Kansas squeaked by whoever they were playing, and it wasn't even a good roster. Right. And I'm looking at I'm watching the game. I'd have to go back and look, but I'm watching the game, and I'm thinking to myself, what am I missing here with Kansas? Because I watched so much college basketball in my life. I only watch it for 2 months out of the year. I will never lie to anybody. I say late February to early March is when I watch college basketball. Before then, the NFL takes center stage, and it will always take center stage in my heart. But with Kansas, they just didn't look like this. Oh, Providence, who never played a high-level team the entire time up until the tournament, and Creighton gave them a run too. It's like there was never any pull-away games where I'm like, okay, this team is gonna blow everybody out. And when I watch like teams like Duke would rely on the refs to win against Texas Tech. Well, that's a whole nother story. I knew that was gonna happen. Yeah. And what was it? Hubert Davis last night almost got ejected because he kept yelling at the refs like they're not calling the fouls straight. Like everything's like off and on. So what bugs me about I think Kansas is the best team in the tournament besides Arizona talent-wise.
Yeah.
And I throw Baylor in there too, even though, we may or may not have, we're stomping Baylor until they started ejecting our players back in the round of 32. But what cracks me up about this Kansas North Carolina game is one, it's the Roy Williams Bowl. It is St. Roy's 2 teams. But also what cracks me about Kansas is that they just don't play like they're a team. They play like it's like a bunch of good players and they play ball, but it's like watching a pickup game. Like there's there's little things where I watch it and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's great. And that's freak athleticism. But I'm like, oh my God, that's not a team. That's 5 guys on the floor. And I've also never been a fan of Bill Self's coaching. I never have been, really. It's
Right.
with me, he's always had freak athletes. You can go all the way back to the days of the Mario Chalmers team that won it all. And when I look at that team, I sit there and I just don't. Bill Self's style has never translated to me to oh, they're gonna win every year. Like I was waiting for Kansas to be out in the 3rd round to Creighton.
Well, I get it. Like I get an opportunity to watch a lot of Kansas basketball, and they never blow people out in the first three rounds. They never do. They always squeak by. They play just well enough to survive and advance. And really, that's the name of the game in the March Madness tournament. If you think about it, because we aren't going off of style points. Like it is not like you have to score 100 points to go to the Sweet 16, right? Mm-hmm. You just got to win. And so Kansas has saved themselves up to this point, and then they destroyed Villanova and
Miami.
Yeah, and Miami. And I do understand what you're saying about the Bill Bill Self coaching style. Yeah. But his style translates so well to the NBA, and that's why they get those players year after year after year.
Yeah.
Just because when a Kansas player goes number 1 or goes in the first round, they normally translate to the NBA very, very well, and there's not that huge learning curve like North Carolina players or Kentucky players or Duke players.
Yeah, no, I'll admit, the last North Carolina players the last couple of years it's been a rough transition, but I think there's 2 or 3 guys in this North Carolina roster who are going to be NBA. So I think Baycott and Caleb Love will be solid NBA players, obviously.
So you think Caleb Love is going?
No, he'll probably. I think he's going to be an amazing NBA player. I think he's going to stay one more year though, because he's still kind of raw. And I think the fact is, I was talking to somebody today about this. These NIL deals now have changed all the game with the NBA, because now players don't need to rush to the league to get paid.
Right.
So these guys will stay 2-3 years. They'll make all this money while they get to sit and relax and sit in class and everything else. They don't have the pressure of being a pro player. Then they go to the pros if they want to, but it's there's no rush now. A lot of these guys have noticed, you said, a lot of this is the first year where NIL is in effect. I've seen more 2nd, 3rd, and 4th year players in the tournament this year, and it's kind of cool. There's a lot less one and dones, which is kind of a nice change to college basketball.
Right.
Because this is honestly the best tournament I've watched since I was a kid. The Tyler Hansborough, Gerald Williams from Duke. I think they had Wayne Simon back in the day for Kansas. I can't remember if that was the same year or not, but that 08, 07, 08, 09 tournament. I remember 07, 08 was a good one too. All those tournaments back when I was younger, those I remember were being elite tournaments. But then once we got past the Anthony Davis was the first year of where okay, one and dones are running it, and college basketball felt kind of off. But now this year was just every game was electricity. There were only a few blowouts. So it was really fun. So
if you look back in 2007 and 2008, you could go directly to the NBA still. So that's why that's why you had those 2, 3 year, 4 players still.
I think now that guys, now that money's involved in college, guys don't care. They'll play 2-3 years because college is fun. College basketball is fun for these guys. With the NBA, it's a business and they know it. They screw up their contracts up. So I guess the biggest thing for me is that when I watch this game with Monday's game, before we talk, I drop my hot take about this year's quarterback class. I look at this game from the fact that North Carolina plays 7 guys total, 2 stretch 4s off the bench, and then a bunch of rotation guys, right. and then the front starting 5. And what it works for him is these guys are the most well-conditioned team in basketball. And Armando Baycott is the key to this game, because if he can stop McCormick, who is a freak. I watched this man dominate. But then again, Villanova and Miami, one thing I will say about those games, whether they're blowouts, they don't have a dominant big.
Very true, yes.
Where Armando Baycott broke 3 ACC records in rebounding the last 3 games. I will not say he's a dominant big, but I'll say he's a little Duke and North Carolina are more built to beat a Kansas team than, say, a Villanova, a Houston, or whoever, or even a Gonzaga, because I don't consider Chet Holmgren an actual big man. I just consider him slender man with a jump shot. So I think the biggest thing with Kansas, North Carolina is going to be the guard play. Can Kansas keep up with RJ Smith and Caleb Love? Because if those two get hot and start rolling and start hitting threes, it's a big problem for Kansas, because they're not going to be able, when they can slow the game down, get it into McCormick, let him dominate, it's going to be fun. But if Baycott's ankle is even 80% by Monday, this is going to be an epic game.
Yeah, it's like I am definitely looking forward to this game 100%. Who do you got winning the game?
I would love it's weird for me, right? So I would love to take Kansas because it's a safe pick. It would make me look like just a smart journalist, because I'm going above my bias as a Tar Heels fan, because I've been watching the Tar Heels since Rashad McCants, Sean May, and Marvin Williams. I even watched like old highlights of Vince Carter when I was like a 5-year-old, right? So but I think North Carolina is the team of destiny, man. I really think they are. Like they just like, there's this old saying, it's like you play like championship teams find ways to win. North Carolina has had the weirdest tournament of all time, and they just find ways to pull it out. It makes no sense how they do it, but they do. Like against Baylor, when we went to overtime, they were on the ropes. Like Baylor had them gone. They were done. And then a bench player hits a 3-pointer off the bat. I can't remember the kid's name right now. Hits a 3 in the first possession. Then North Carolina kicks Baylor's teeth in for the next 5 minutes of overtime. It wasn't even close. But when that game stopped at the end of regulation, everyone thought Baylor had this. It was over. So, and then against UCLA, they kept hanging around, and at the last minute pull ahead. And to me, with North Carolina, they just had that just ability to, it doesn't matter who they're playing. Their team matches up well enough because they're built like an NBA roster. They have the big man who can move a little bit, the stretch 4, the athletic defender 3 who can cover multiple positions, and then they have the 2 guards who are dominant shooters, who are streaky and athletic. And it beats these teams who rely on 1, 2, 3 good players, a bunch of role guys. So if there was any team to be able to beat Kansas, it is North Carolina. I think it's going to be the closest game. I think this game could go to overtime. This is going to be like one of those crazy last possession kind of games. But I got to go with my gut, my heart here. UNC. I picked them on Thursday on my own show to beat Duke. And AJ from Sac City yelled at me for 5 minutes about how I was being a homer. And I said, listen, man, you got to realize, like, nobody cares about this Coach K retirement tour. This is all about wins. And North Carolina just wins, baby.
Yeah. I'm picking Kansas, as much as that makes me sick. I'm picking Kansas by like 12. I think they are upset that, as my kids go crazy in the background, my fault. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Kansas by 12. I think it's just going to be a total domination from point in to point out. So let's transition over to the NFL here. Just like a tad bit. We are 3 weeks away from the NFL draft, and the quarterback class I think is very, very weak. But you have other opinions, maybe?
Okay, so here's the deal about the quarterback class. The reason, and shout out to my boy Uke, he is Belly Up's draft scout. This kid and me have both been going crazy about evaluating these quarterbacks, and I have 3 guys in this class that I absolutely love, and 1 guy who I'm getting warmer on. The reason everyone's hitting on this class is because there's no big name stars. Okay, the top guy in this class is from Liberty. The next top guy, in most people's opinions, is from Pittsburgh. It's not like the last good quarterback to come out of Pittsburgh is Dan Marino. Right. So that's just everything you know right there. So there's no big name superstars. And that's why everyone's poo-pooing this class. But the problem is, like, it doesn't matter if they're from big programs. Like, these guys are good players. So first off, I think Desmond Ridder is going to sneakily be a great NFL starter because all he does is win. He has great anticipation. He does everything right. He has a B+ arm and A+ mobility, and he just makes it work. Second, my sleeper. This guy is going to be a great quarterback in this league. I don't know where he's going to go. He's not a first-year starter because his footwork is atrocious, but the dude has a Josh Allen arm and is just an absolute – he just has great deep ball presence and accuracy. It's Carson Strong out of Nevada. He is my number 2 quarterback on this list when I did my top 5 rankings, because I said I would rather have a guy who off his back foot can put it 60 yards in the bucket than a guy who has to wear gloves, has abnormally small hands, and runs a simple offense. I don't care what level they play at.
I get you. Yeah. I mean,
And then
that's very true. Yeah, very true.
And then the last one is like, I love Malik Willis and I love Matt Corral. But Matt Corral to me is the higher upside because this dude played in offense with pro guys against pro secondaries and lit them up like Christmas trees. And he's got the swagger. He's got the charisma like a Joe Burrow, like a Baker Mayfield did come out of college. But like Joe Burrow, he's got the mobility and he's got an absolute bazooka, Mike. It's not even like we worried about Baker because Baker ran a very play-action heavy offense out of a spread. Lincoln Riley's offense makes any quarterback look good. But Matt Corral, every time I watch him play, it's just big, gutsy throws, splitting defenders, hitting guys in stride, and he just makes it look effortless. When I watch Matt Corral, I think Matt Corral, whichever team he goes to in the first or early second round, he will, if there's a chance to start, he will start early in this season. He's going to be the best quarterback in this class. I think Willis is going to have a great career. I just worry with Willis is that he's going to have too much expectations on him already, and he's going to have to be a solid starter, but it's going to be more or less like, will he have the drive and the ability to make the gutsy throws? But I think, honestly, there's three guys who honestly could be perennial starters in their division. I think, you could either do a split between Desmond Ridder and I'd say Carson Strong are kind of like the 50-50 guys, but then like Willis and Matt Corral could be the guy. So what cracks me up about everything in this class is that when I am watching these guys on tape, they look just as good as the guys that apparently we thought were all superstars last year. And last year's class was supposed to be the class of quarterbacks. Doug Peterson needs to resurrect Trevor Lawrence. And you have Justin Fields. You need basically he's still. I don't trust Justin Fields as an elite passer. I trust him as an elite athlete, and I think he's a decent quarterback, but he's not like an elite passer. And Matt Jones is going to be an okay game manager to me. It's not like I don't trust him to be an elite guy. We'll see what he does with Devontae Parker, who's the best receiver he's ever had in his life since college. This is the best pro receiver he's ever had. So, to me, the 2020 class with Herbert, Tua, Burrow, and Hurts, you don't get classes like that where you get 4 guaranteed starters right away.
Right.
Or 2018 when you had Baker, Lamar, Josh Allen. But I think this class, you're going to have 3 starters. And I think that everyone's just poo-pooing this because it is literally a class with no-name guys. But this isn't Geno Smith's class. This is actually a pretty decent talent class. And on tape, they all impress me. They all stand out. The only ones I don't like, I don't like Kenny Pickett because he just reminds me of Nate Peterman. He really does. Like a little more polished Nate Peterman.
Yeah.
And I look at Sam Howell. Sam Howell's a better armed Alex Smith. So he might be a good starter, but he's not going to go to a team who's going to give him a start right away. So to me, I think the 4 guys I mentioned, Strong, Willis, Ridder, and Corral, are going to have great shots to be decent starters in this league. And we may be talking about this actually was a surprise class.
Yeah, so on the flip side of that, a lot of teams don't need quarterbacks this year, to be totally honest, because the teams that needed quarterbacks got quarterbacks last year or in free agency. And this is a very wide receiver heavy class and a very defensive heavy class as well. So they could fall to teams that don't need quarterbacks now, i.e. the Colts, maybe the Cowboys. So, I mean, they could definitely have time to grow. What's wrong, man?
Hey, man, that's what happens when you have kids, man. You just it's a full-time job.
Yeah. They're WWF in here.
Nice.
But, yeah, so...
You're hyped for WrestleMania tonight.
Yeah, so, I mean, they do have room to grow, which is good for them, which is positive, but I don't see any of them really having success.
I think in Carolina, off the rip, they need a quarterback. Obviously, they're not running with Sam Darnold or PJ Walker or the ghost of Cam Newton, whoever it is. Also, I look at Seattle. They might take a guy they might take a flyer on a Matt Corral or a Desmond Ridder because I don't trust Drew Lock. They don't trust Drew Lock, and they got to see what they got. The other wild card here is Detroit. Apparently, my man MCDC douche biting kneecaps brother, he loves Desmond Ridder. And Desmond Ridder in Detroit is a great combo. One, because Ritter's never had a receiver with DJ Chark's speed. You also have Amon-Ra St. Brown and Josh Reynolds, who are both great route runners and get open. TJ Hawkinson, who's a top 10 tight end. And DeAndre Swift. Detroit, if Ridder can actually, and a good offensive line, if Ridder can honestly play any better than Jared Goff, which the benchmark is so low for how bad Jared Goff was last year, that they honestly could be a decent team. And I actually have them as my surprise team right now to be the last wild card spot in the NFC, because Minnesota got worse. Green Bay got worse, and Chicago got worse. So in my look right now, if Detroit has a good draft, they're a 10-7 team that sneaks in behind like the likes of like a Dallas or Philly as the first wild card slot, and then probably I'd say either Arizona would be the second one, maybe New Orleans. I don't know. It's like with Detroit, they have this. So I had Detroit. There was a Detroit guy on a YouTube show I watched that I can't remember the name of it right now, but he said there was 10 wins. He nailed them all down, and he goes, they're going to split with Minnesota, split with Chicago. They're going to beat Chicago or split them twice. And then I was looking at their schedule. There's easily 9 out of division wins, or maybe 8. I mean, yeah, you're going to lose to the Philadelphias of the world. You're going to lose to Green Bay twice. But I looked at them like, it's not a hard schedule. They're a 4th place team.
Yeah.
They're going to get they're going to get an elite edge rusher or an elite tackle at number 2. So, and then at 32, you're going to get a good quarterback prospect, because the only one who's going to be off the board is probably Pickett or Malik Willis, because some team's going to overreach on Pickett, and you're going to get either Corral, Ridder, or Carson Strong. And honestly, a half-ass quarterback can put up 30 touchdowns with that offense. So when I look at the Lions, I think they're the best spot for a quarterback should want to go to Detroit for the first time ever, because they're actually built to be a surprise team. They may not make the playoffs, but they're going to win 9 games this year, 10 games. And the other team, I think, so I already talked about Carolina because for obvious reasons. Pittsburgh's another one where Mitch Trubisky is there if they can't get a quarterback they like.
You think so?
Yeah. So Money Mitch, I think, has realized he's Andy Dalton. He's Ryan Fitzpatrick. He is going to fall into that role. I watched Trubisky in college as an ACC football fan. I watched him play. I was never sold on his ability. I was sold on his ability to extend plays, make good throws on the run, but in the pocket, I've never been sold on that or his arm strength. He's a good in-between quarterback if they can't find their guy this year. Malik Willis, I think, is their guy, and if they can get him at 20 or move up to go get him in the teens, that's their guy. Kenny Pickett, somebody's going to take a flyer on him like an idiot, and it's going to be hysterical watching him be Nathan Peterman 2.0. I think he's got a little more swagger than Peterman. He's a little better thrower and a little more athletic. Obviously, I think he's a little more amped up version of what Peterman was ability, because Narduzzi recruits a simple type of quarterback every time. But when I look at these guys, there's about 5 teams who could use a quarterback, and they may not on the surface appear like it. And the Colts, like you said, is another one. I think Matt Corral to the Colts is a home run, or Carson Strong to the Colts, because they sit a year or two behind Matt Ryan. They get acclimated to Frank Reich's system, and by 2024, they're rocking and rolling out the gate, ready to go. Or they're like in the, and also another team that here's a sleeper team, right? You should think about. What do the Packers do? Not first round, obviously.
Yeah.
But second or third rounds, like clearly Jordan Love's not the guy, or else they wouldn't have gone all out for Rodgers. They're gonna try to move up to get a receiver, obviously, because they need somebody for Rodgers to throw the ball to. They're kind of like this weird mystery right now. So I don't know. The draft's going to be an odd, like that April 27th here on bellyupsports.com, courtesy of our boys over at MD's Fantasy. They're going to be doing this show. I will be on a couple other shows as well, but it's going to be a weird draft. I have no idea. Like, I'm doing a mock draft today for my show for Tuesday, and I don't know who I'm picking for like half the picks.
If the Packers draft a quarterback, Green Bay Packer fan base will go apeshit. They will.
I know, it's the best part.
I secretly hope now that they draft a quarterback in the first round. Like,
I don't think they will, but I think second or third is very realistic. And it comes down to this. It's like, unfortunately, we know Jordan Love is not a good quarterback. Jordan Love needs more honing and more polishing and more coaching than possible because the problem is he's not going to get reps in Green Bay. He came in against Kansas City, and Kansas City gave him every opportunity to beat them, and he couldn't do it.
Yeah, the Chiefs defense at that particular time did start to step up and look a little bit better, so I give them that. And it was Jordan Love's first start ever, and he did get kind of thrown in the fire like the Thursday before. So, like, he does have a little bit of, leeway there. I think Jordan Love needs to sit one more year, and, like, the pressure just needs to be off, just like, hey, just sit here, just grow, soak up as much as you can, and spank these kids. And are you done, kid? There you go. But Jordan Love is a very big question mark, and unfortunately, he won't get the opportunity to really show his skills because Aaron Rodgers will be there for another 3 or 4
forever
years.
and ever. The second they sign, I think the thing with the Rodgers deal is, unless it goes all 4 years, the Packers are screwed financially if that doesn't go all 4 years now, because the incentives on that deal and how everything's worded, they're gonna have to eat some serious salary cap. Like,
I think it's always like $40 million.
Yeah, they're gonna eat so much dead cap, and it's gonna destroy their franchise for 2 years. But what are you gonna do? It's the world we live in now. The team who's the most screwed with dead cap, if they end up moving on from it, is the Browns with Watson.
Yeah,
they better pray that there's nothing else coming from this, and he plays and he lights up for them, or they are hosed.
Yes, I secretly hope it's a bust, to be honest with you. But that is just me being a Brown hater and a Baker Mayfield fan at the end of the day. But Jared, thank you for being here with us today. Tell the people where they can find you and all that good stuff.
You can find me at this little handy corner right here. Jared, that is my personal Twitter and also my personal Instagram, Facebook, and else. But you can also find my amazing show, Corner Booth Podcast, on at Corner Booth Pod on basically every social media site. Good show this week. Our Thursday show, we have Brad from Unbearable Sports coming on. He's always a character. And mock draft show coming this Tuesday, should be dropped Wednesday morning. So appreciate you, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we do definitely love some mock drafts over here on the Man Hour, so be sure to check that out, guys. So, guys, we'll be right back here after the break. Stay tuned.
Till he was on 17 fairway-ish, that's when I kind of checked out, because Augusta's done it before. I had a friend of mine text me, and they were like, well, this is over. This is, even it was right after Rory holed out, and they were like, still, like, nothing's going to happen. And I thought to myself, like, never say never. And that's when it happened, right? And I love that Scheffler afterwards said, I did not break concentration. I didn't allow myself to break concentration. I'm speaking in air quotes. I was not obviously there. No, but Scotty Scheffler said he didn't break concentration until he got on to the 18th green, or as he was approaching it, just to allow himself to kind of enjoy it. He said in his thank yous to his caddy, Ted Scott, I just kind of blindly followed you around all day. I was in my zone, club, yardage, shot, go, wash, rinse, repeat. And then when he looked up, you saw it. He 4-putted.
And that's when he 4-putted. Exactly.
I like Max Homa, though. Max Homa's like, dude, you could have 6-putted and still won. So why not just 6-putt? Like,
that's Max Homa. That's why I love Max Homa. He placates to the fans.
He's the pip leader he's the pip leader in the clubhouse right now.
He likes to entertain with golf, and that's what I enjoy about Max Homa. So he will always be a favorite. So I'm glad you brought that up, because to say just go ahead and 6-foot, that's the jarring between the players that often doesn't get out to the public, that they just say to each other on the course or in a practice round or something, and they joke around with each other. So it's nice to hear it publicized sometimes, because it makes it more relatable to all of us, because that's what we all do on the golf course.
Oh God! Speaking of the earlier in the week, you were talking about being relatable or whatever. Or whatever. No, you were talking about being relatable in people that you like out on the golf course, and the jabbing that goes back and forth. Freddie Couples showed up to the Masters. He says he was going to show up just for the champions dinner, and he played a practice round with Justin Thomas and Tiger. Yeah. And at that point, Tiger was still a game time decision. I know people like to say, yeah, right, he was going to drag it out. He was like, no, I mean, like, I wouldn't have been shocked if Tiger withdrew after the first round or the second round or the third round, saying like, I can do this for another 10, 15 years as long as I don't push myself too far when I know I shouldn't. But obviously he knew what he was doing. He finished 4 rounds and we were all happy to see it. But there was a moment in there where Freddie was talking about how he wasn't planning on playing this year. You know, he's got some back issues and whatnot. But being out there with Tiger, who they've played dozens and dozens of practice rounds together, I don't know how they won that kind of friend lottery. And JT is kind of the next wave, that next evolution. He's the next kind of the third musketeer. I hope he gets a green jacket soon.
Be nice
it was their banter, their back and forth as Tiger's sitting there piping it and Freddie's doing this and he was getting chirped, that got him to say, all right, I'm in, because at Augusta, there is no Friday 5 p.m. cutoff. It's whenever the committee or the chairman says it. So, I mean, as we're showing right now, it's tough, man. It's tough to come down off a week like that. ESPN, I saw, had its 20 some odd million viewers. It was the largest golf viewing audience they've ever had. And I saw a great side-by-side shot of 12, the tee shot of 12 with Tiger teeing off in 2020 and nobody around it. And then him this year. And
it's wild.
That was nuts.
And so for all we know, that could have been the practice round from what we saw on Wednesday. So
the Monday practice round, I got a buddy who I got to see if he can maybe join us for a couple minutes, tell us about it sometime. He was there Monday. He was like, and it was a big deal. It was a last minute decision. It was a good family friend of ours. I was talking to his dad over the weekend. He said, yes, Case was there. So I remember I was from Tallahassee.
Yeah.
Not so I got
when Bud does it.
It's not offensive when anybody does it. I mean, Larry the Cable Guy doesn't even have an accent. I was today old when I found that out on TikTok.
True. That does get you when you find that out.
Back to you in the studio. What's next?
Well, no, you made some good points there though, because one, so about Tiger playing all 4 rounds, you definitely did start to get the sense through the second and the third round that not surprisingly, it seemed to be going slowly downhill for him, which look, I don't think any of us expected him to be in the hunt after the first round. So the fact that we got that on day one with a 1 under being 3 or 4 shots off the lead at that point was fantastic. Though that was above expectations, but I was not shocked whatsoever when he posted some higher scores the next 2 rounds. And then halfway through the 4th round to see him very noticeably limping, not shocked at all. I hope he didn't push himself too much. I hope we get to see him again sometime this year, but and I'm sure we will. But that, yeah, so I've lost my train of thought now.
100%. We were talking about Tiger moving the needle, being back, and but just real quick, 100%. We'll see him. He said he's going to be at the Open. He said St. Andrews is his favorite course, which I didn't know that. I was, when St. Andrews is his favorite course, he'll be there. He's not sure about Southern Hills. He has one. That's where the PGA is in May. He won a PGA there, so people are saying, why not? We'd love to see him again, but he's going to listen to his body and do what it says. He also made something like 17 or 22 bogeys this week, something astronomical that he would never make in a normal. He was knocking the rust off. You're right. The expectations were to get out there, and making the cut was, whipped cream on top, and then playing all 4 days and actually holding it together was the cherry. It's a respectable finish.
Well, the key too,
and you look at the guys he beat.
Well, yeah, and you said the key there is you said all those bogeys that he hit. What was nice is that even when you saw him make a bad shot, he was kind of smiling and laughing it off. Like there was a sense of, I won't say joy, because he obviously doesn't enjoy making a bad shot, but there was a sense of just kind of enjoying the moment of what he was doing with understanding the expectations
on Sunday,
himself, instead of in the past years where we would see him kind of get mad and start cursing out himself. Like, he wouldn't curse anybody else out, but you would see him visibly start to get a little mad with himself, and that went away though. Like you would see him smile and laugh off a bad shot. Like, can you believe I just did that? And that was nice to see, because I think that's the Tiger that we need that's good for the sport at this point of his career.
Well, it takes some time to knock the rust off. I know. I went out today, played 36, humble brag. Knocked the rust off. It was it felt good. Got some new sticks. Got some tournaments on the
rust. What
docket.
What scores you hit? Share the scores. Rust my ass.
74-72, and I think the 74 was suspect. I think I forgot to enter a couple of scores correctly, but
put those scores together, you get my round of 18 right there. So
well, and here's the funny thing though. I using kind of the Tiger analogy, listen, 36 holes, nobody else is really out there today because the weather was kind of chilly and overcast, so I was able to get around pretty easily by myself in a cart. That was hit and giggle golf. And yes, I am one of those people. I will putt out. I don't like to take second shots. I'll hit a second ball and then go pick it up, that kind of thing. Kind of like, but I keep one ball, one score. But today was all about getting out there and just testing out some new clubs and trying some things. And it felt really good. I tried some new mental approaches, and I didn't do anything physically different because I haven't really done anything physically different with my swing and God knows how long.
Sure.
It was all a lot of mental approaches, mental changes, and it made the difference. That said, 74-72 is lovely. It's wonderful. I'll take that all day. I wasn't playing against anybody. There's really no pressure, but I knew that going in, and I tried to actively keep myself engaged as to not let it run off the rails. And I feel like I did a good job. So yeah, I will keep you posted because everybody's going to want to know how I do throughout the summer.
Well, and with golf, it's not even really about who you're playing against. You're always just playing that scoreboard. That's your only. It doesn't matter who's on that scoreboard. You're always just watching the other scores on that scoreboard, and that's why it's such more of a mental game in you. It doesn't matter who's posting the other scores. You got to just control your own thoughts to not let it affect you. And I'm sure that takes some practice and takes some warming up, just like your physical attributes. You got to warm up your mental game for the golf season as well.
That's kind of what it was. So you have to play little mental games with yourself. There's apps you can download. And I downloaded one and setting little mini goals like, all right, try to hit 5 fairways and have less than 30 putts, that kind of shit. Sure. Get up and down 3, and just setting rewards. Then, man, maybe I do go get a cheeseburger on the way home. Don't tell my wife. Jokes. Or just checking off a list. So being able to get out there and hit it was good. So stay tuned for more.
And meanwhile, I got out there and I'm still feeling the pain because my body and muscles are not used to swinging the golf club since last year. So shows me I need to stretch because I'm a little younger than you.
Check my Twitter feed tomorrow. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see how I'm actually feeling. I'm still on a high from shooting a couple of good scores because I know I like to gloss over it and try to be humble about it. But no, it's a pretty decent outing for first couple rounds out the gates. Outdoors. I've been in a simulator a couple times, and I've got a Mevo Plus that I'll use in the backyard. I'm one of those people. Nice. It's addicting. You get the little iPad out there and you play games. You're gonna come down. We're gonna do a show from my backyard. We're gonna do divots and pivot. We're gonna do divots and pivots live from the backyard,
and then we're gonna fix your backyard.
And then we're gonna fix
from all the divots I make. That's true. But it's good, and the goal is this. Bud here is entering some local tournaments this summer. So the goal is that we might be able to try to get out there and follow him around and give you an insider's peek on what it does look like, kind of from the amateur golf circle perspective. Out there. So we'll no promises. We're gonna try. I don't know what type of limitations they'll hit us with, but we're gonna give it a go and see if we can make it happen, or at least just go out there and follow Bud around and annoy the hell out of him. Maybe give him some heckles.
Caddies are allowed, so we could always toss.
Well, there you go.
We could always toss
your caddy.
Well, and we would get a push cart. I wouldn't have you carrying my bag. I would just have you pushing because you'll see
carry a mic.
It blew me away one of the first times I saw somebody at a caddy pushing their push bag, and I thought to myself, really? And then I remembered caddies are there for more than just schlepping the clubs. Yeah. I would nix that if I was the tournament director. I'd say if you have a human next to you, they carry the bag. Otherwise, you may push your own push cart.
Yes, I would agree with you on that. It does seem a little weird to have a caddy and a push cart. But yeah. So the Masters success. We'll see how the RBC Heritage shows up.
All right, let's talk about it.
It's got
a lot of big names. It's got a lot of names there, but I think they're going to face. They're going to face the same thing that we're facing, which is a Masters hangover. Why don't we go through our kind of stats du jour, because I don't know the French word for of the week, and so I'm going to use of the day. Why don't you tell me? Why don't you hit us with your key stats or your key areas? I'll hit you with mine, and then we can start picking this thing apart.
Yeah. So the key stats I'm looking at is. A strokes gained approach. Look, strokes gained approach is important just about in every tournament, so it's always going to make an appearance in my stats. So strokes gained approach is there. I'm also looking at fairways gained. I want some guys who are going to, especially coming off the Masters a week there where there could be some, like we're saying, some hangover where this tournament could get away from some of these guys pretty quick. I'm looking at guys who are going to consistently put it in the fairway because If some of these guys who did play last week are kind of spraying the ball all over the place, then there's going to be some opportunities that might not always be there for the guys that find the fairway. So I'm looking at fairways gained. And then kind of an oddball one out there this week is going to be strokes gained total, specifically on Pete Dye courses, because Harbor Links is more of a unique course in the specific way that Pete Dye designed it. So, which is a shame that, look, we get a Pete Dye course and it's kind of an off week, which is why I liked the way that this tournament used to fall in the past, because there's few designers out there. You know, you got your Pete Dyes, your Jack Nicklaus courses that are very specifically designed for specific challenges, and Pete Dye courses are always entertaining. So I got that in there, and then I got strokes gained short game on Bermuda grass and greens and regulations. So those are my key stats, but I know you have a couple more that we added into the mix here. If you want to give us those real fast.
I do. I'm just going to say ditto. I'm not going to fight you on any of yours because mostly I just don't like to fight with you. No, but we're back at a Pete Dye course. I have a soft spot for Pete Dye in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
This thing goes back to my childhood. I mean, back when it was just what was this? The C Pines Heritage back in the 80s, and then the MCI Heritage. So this is it used to be, I think, a little more illustrious. I've been to Hilton Head a few times, actually, personally. So it's a pretty dope spot to be. But on top of everything that you said, we are talking about a Pete Dye course, which means ball strikers course. You got to be able to hit the ball accurately, no matter where that is, tee to green. But specifically, I'm looking at these long par threes. And so we're talking about strokes gained, par three, or par three efficiency, strokes gained, whatever. Mm-hmm. And specifically the yardage 175 to 200, everything's 190 plus here. So, I mean, even that. So we got that strokes gained approach and strokes gained putting. I know short game and up and down scrambling is going to be big, but I honestly think it's just straight up throwing darts. If you're somebody out here, these guys are so freaking good that somebody's going to be throwing enough darts to just say, I'm going to be putting. It's going to turn into a putting contest. But yeah, strokes gained par three, long ones, and strokes gained putting. Those are really the two. If you had to put approach in there, you can, but I like to defer to you on the rest of those. Actually, last but certainly not least, and actually first, mostly in my book. So we got long par threes putting, and you know where I'm going with this.
So where you always go. So hit us with it.
Strokes gained home life. Shouts to the other guys who came up with that, but I'm going to use it. It's postmasters, it's hangover. So I don't think. I mean, yeah, they're professionals and they always want to win. But guys like Justin Thomas or DJ or even Colin Morikawa, who had that finish that he did, who are kind of going, I left it out there. I could see them kind of taking a mental week off, and I could see the winner coming out somewhere further down. Now, you're going to tell me it's not always about the winning. You know, we want 6 guys to make the cut. And I do agree. You're right. But I also think that's where those guys up top could literally and figuratively O2 barbecue and have a couple days off in Hilton Head with their families.
So just for the hell of it here, just because of the points you made, I quickly took out my greens and regulations gained and my strokes gained short game. Strokes? Sorry.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Strokes gained short game.
Strokes gained short game.
Unique New York.
Yeah, so I'm going to take those out really fast and load up the model here because I'm curious to see if it changes much. So the final rankings doesn't really, sure, some guys get shuffled around a little bit, but for the most part, the guys that were at the top with including all the stats are still there. So yeah, not much really changes once you factor out those. So I'm going to load it back up the way we had it before, knowing that. So I think what I'm trying to say is I think either way, we're on the same page.
I think we are on the same page.
Stats, whether it's your 2 stats or my extra 2 stats, including them doesn't really change anything except slightly the order.
No, it doesn't. And I really need to simplify it even one more step. And I apologize for this, but I'm holding on to my long par threes. I definitely think that's an important factor here. 190 plus is no joke. If you can't handle your long irons, then I mean those turn into de facto, up and down scramble holes for you all week, and that's no way to live, George. But so we got the long par threes and the putting. But really, it's just ball striking because I can't I can't pussyfoot around and say, well, it's approach or it's this. I'm not smart enough for that. It's a Pete Dye ball. It's a Pete Dye course, so it's a ball strikers course, and I think that's the thing. It's the ball strikers and the putting. If you're a ball striker and you can putt, and I love that. If anybody was watching that on Tiki Live, that's a good visual right there. So
Just a little,
yeah, somebody threw this into a
little
GIF.
wiggle in the wrist.
But if you're a ball striker and you can roll it, you can do well this week, and that's where I think it comes into the headspace. So you're going to see.
So let's do that then. I'm pulling audible here. We're gonna adjust as we talk here in the fly because why not? That's what we do. So I'm gonna take out the strokes gain short game just partly because I don't want to say it anymore. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put in strokes gain ball striking instead, and let's see if that really changes things up a bit.
I'm also reverse engineering. I'm working from backwards. I have a theory that I just keep rearranging these stats until it meets it and it's starting to work.
Let's see here. I want to make sure I got all my values locked the right way. Make sure they're somewhat evenly spaced out. Sure, we'll call that right there. And once again, if you obviously you can't see what I'm doing here, everyone, but what I'm doing is I'm working on the fantasynational.com.
Shouts Fantasy National.
Shout out for sure. They got a fantastic tool called the mixed condition custom model where you can add in very specific columns of stats to basically give you like an aggregate average out ranking for everybody's in the fields ranking in each of those stats. And you can also adjust the percentage of the weight on each of those. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to load up the model now. And
so we've replaced strokes gain short game with aggregate average.
No, with ball striking.
No, I'm joking. I'm talking about. I'm talking about in the word salad, not word salad. Mushmouth. That's what it was.
Okay, mushmouth. Yes. Yeah. But so once again, look, I'm just gonna move past mushmouth.
Sure, once again, though, OBKB.
Once again, changing that up though, so the guys that were there are still kind of there. Like I said, it's slightly different order, but so we're on the right track. We got the kind of the same like top 20 guys for the most part in here.
You're picking up what I'm putting down. So
so we're on track. It was a good experiment because this is what you got. You just got to try out different stats and see. And if you start to notice when you change one stat and all of a sudden some guy jumps up from like 50 to like top 10 or top 5, if you're noticing that in your research, then that's something you got to look into a little bit more because there's a reason why that's happening. Is that an anomaly that you should ignore? Is that something that, hey, maybe I've caught on to something that is a little bit abnormal here that I can take advantage of?
Well,
do your research.
I think you gambling degenerates would call that. If you're on a heater, if you're on a run, if you've got something that's working, lean into it. I mean, especially if the formula keeps pumping out the right answers, you're good cooking. Why not? This is definitely not an actual scientific process,
not at
all. Otherwise, somebody would have decoded it. But the human element is always what keeps it interesting. So, so knowing everything that I just said, 10K and above, anybody up there that you're touching this week?
So let me reshift this. So the short answer is no. Oh, sorry. No, I am touching Cameron Smith just because I'm surprisingly looking at getting him at 10% ownership, which just seems too good to be true with how he's playing. So, and in this type of field at 10-8, sure, it's a high price, but if I'm going to get him at 10% ownership and with how well he's playing, he has a legitimate shot at winning this. I know he's coming off of a chance at the Masters this past week, but he just seems like he's on one right now to where it's almost like the hangover's not going to apply to him. And he's one of those guys where I'm going to kind of play him until he proves me wrong because he's just too hot right now. So Cameron Smith is the only guy over 10,000 that I am playing. And like I said, if he was anything over like 13, 14% projected ownership, I'd probably stay away from him because then I think that's only going to go even higher because he is so popular right now. But Cam Smith, I'm playing. Everyone else up there, though, is either too spotty right now on this course with these stats or too highly owned for me. So he's definitely the only one above 10K. But I am going to go back to the well with Corey Connors here from our bet this past week. He is going to be the highest.
Off, Barb.
He is going to be the highest owned person in my lineup this week at 14.5% or more. But he's only 9,700. He's a great place to start your lineup if you want to start there because he's just playing well right now. And he has a good history here. I want to bring up his history real fast. He finished 4th here last year, 21st the year before that. So he's got a good history here. He's in good form right now. and coming in at, if he's going to be my highest owned guy at only 14%, I can live with that at that price.
Yeah, I'm going to fade Corey Connors again hard. Worked for me last week.
Did it?
No, for the reason that you said. He, which by the way, the Bud Heavy is en route. I assume you'll have one waiting for us next week on the show.
Oh.
But no, because I honestly think he might win this week. I think I said this before. He played so well last week. He played so well the week before, and he's not one of the. I don't think he's. They can admit they can deny it if they want to. There are guys who take the Brooks approach. At least Brooks admits it. If it's not a major, I'm not showing up mentally like I would for a major.
Yeah.
And I think Corey Connors is on the other side of the grind versus greatness kind of debate. He's a grinder and he's a great grinder, but he's not at that greatness tier. So this is a good week for him. He's peaking right now. I think he's going to probably win, and he's probably going to get you a ton of DK points because he's got a great swing and a great ball striker. But I just think he's too chalky. And I think there's a bunch of guys around him that could do well. Russell Henley's one of them just because he's a Georgia guy. I mean, I know we're talking, and you look at him up there, he's ball striker. He's 6th ball striking, 2nd in approach, 3rd in DK points. And he's a Georgia guy. And I mean that as in University of Georgia. And I
he's
think
coming
he lives
in higher, and he's coming in more chalky than Corey Connors, just saying.
But that's just it though. I'll eat that chalk because I think he'll actually deliver more. This is a homecoming for him. That's about as high and as chalky as I'm going to go. The rest, I'm going to be one of those dark horse guys playing in the sevens and maybe 6s, because I might go up and snag Cam Smith. I'm with you in the 10K range. Nobody else. I might flirt with Colin Morikawa because I think he is disciplined and mentally tough enough to the point, obviously 2 majors and 24 years old, to see how he finished last week and not have a hangover. I got a feeling Colin Morikawa didn't have any hangovers in college, and I doubt he can take a hangover now. So I think Justin Thomas, Dustin Johnson, Patrick Cantlay, all are guys that could potentially be just saying, what the fuck? Like that was a missed opportunity. And then to your point about Cam Smith, I think he's playing so good that he won't allow that to happen, right? It's one of those, this is a burden. This is a responsibility, a burden I have to carry. So I would take Russell Henley up there. That's about as high as I'm going to go this week.
Okay. And look, Russell, you're not wrong. Russell Henley does rate out number 2 in this model right now, the way we have it set with the standings, with the stats. So this is a good spot for Russell Henley, according to the math. And same thing, it is a good spot for Adam Hadwin. He's ranking out top in the model right now, but at 7,600, he's showing up as just one of the most chalky guys on the slate. Him and Shane Lowry are both above 17% projected ownership. So it's just way too much chalk for me to eat, even at that price. I'm seeing a lot of, other content providers talking about Adam Hadwin this week. So for that reason, I'm just not going to touch him because I don't have enough confidence in Adam Hadwin that he's worth eating the chalk. Like Adam Hadwin doesn't strike me like he has a chance to legitimately go out and win, which means I need to play him just in case he does. Like Corey Connors does for me, and I get your argument with Henley as well that he could go out and win. Like either one of them winning wouldn't surprise me, and if that's the case, then the chalk at that point doesn't matter. You get the points, just like everyone else. You find your edge elsewhere.
For the same reason I didn't get a starter jacket, everybody else had it. I'm not going to play Adam Hadwin. Everybody else is talking about him. And I would be remiss if I didn't get my second little. Sung J M's another one in the 9K range that I could fall in love with. He ranks well in the models. He ranks high in the right stats. And he's another week to week guy. He did that a couple of years ago. We talked about him last week. You were big on him, and he was good to you early. He was very good to you early, and he held on and he played all 4 days and he did well. Yep. And I was kicking myself as soon as I saw him doing well. I said, mother. But he's
and Kokrak came out on fire early. He faded a little bit, but we had some last week.
Sung J M doesn't take any weeks off. So in the 9K range, we're talking Sung J, we're talking Russell Henley. You're talking Corey Connors, and I endorse that, but I avoid it just because I've got a bone to pick with Corey.
That's fine.
So down in but then I mean, here's the thing. Taking strokes gained home life and the fact that where this is in the schedule, it does kind of get juicier the deeper you get into this field. Yes. You can kind of see we're going back to maybe the Valero or the Valspar, that post players feeling where I even said it. I feel like these are the weeks that Joe Shit the Ragman breaks through. And for no other reason than Rory's too busy working on his cut 3-iron for whatever major is coming up in the future. Tiger famously would quote unquote use the players to get ready for Augusta. So in the 8K range, I would like to put a prediction on somebody that you love in the 8K range, but I'm not going to go it out. I'm going to hold it to myself. Who do you like 8K?
So I mean, I'm not. So admittedly, I've already built my 6-man roster, and I'm not playing anyone in the 8K range just because I like the low 7K range too much, and I like having both Cameron Smith and Corey Connors up top in my lineup. So this is more of a I don't want to say stars and scrubs, because I think the guys this week in that 7K range aren't necessarily scrubs. I think it's just price wise they are. So it doesn't mean that I don't like anyone in the 8K range. I do like Alex Noren in the 8K range. He ranks out well. The only one he doesn't rank out great in is fairways gained. But like I said, I think that's going to be more dependent on if that could be better this week than it is normal, because if some guys are spraying it around because they are feeling that hangover from the Masters, maybe he bumps up in the idea of those rankings a little bit. So Alexander Noren, I don't mind, and a guy like Billy Horschel, who did play well last week, might have another good shot here. I don't love it though, but as far as the 8K range goes, those would be the two guys that I would be looking at doing some more research into.
So I'm with you in the sense that I don't think I'm going to end up playing anybody from the 8K range. I thought you were going to bite at Chris Kirk at 8,000.
Look, he's tempting because he's got a lot of green across his stats here, but then when you look a little closer, a lot of those green is 40, stuff 50, 60 ranks, so they look better color wise than the number does.
No, so I'm with you where I'm not actually playing anybody here. If I, truth gun to my head, if I had to fade somebody, I'd be fading Billy Horschel pretty hard this week.
Sure. I understand that.
But it's actually, hold on real quick. Let me put that down. Fade Billy Ho. But no, if I was going to play anybody this week from the 8K range, your boy Alex Noren's one of them because of the reasons you said, and also he's top 10. He's 7th in par threes, 175 to 200. So there's the cherry on top. Another one that I would give a look at, and I just think this is just kind of a gut check. If I had to play, but I'm not, is Tyrrell Hatton. He was an interesting guy to watch last week, and then he had his snarky, snappy comments about how it's unfair at the Masters. Boo hoo. That's honestly how anybody
putt for save his life on Sunday.
Yeah, and for him to talk about how, oh my God, you hit a good shot and sometimes it doesn't work out. That's so unfair.
That's golf.
Oh, yeah, get the
what sport does he think he's playing? Croquet?
I have no time for that. Anybody, it's unfair. What was unfair about?
Get out of here.
Nothing's unfair about that. I'm genuinely listen. Even when Shinnecock Hills made everybody look like a bunch of asses, and they had to bring it. All I could think to myself was, does it suck? Yes. Is everybody still playing the same course? Yes. So for one day, and one day only, if the groundskeepers didn't do their job, or they did their job too well, and the course is shitty, or the course is too good, and the scores are astronomical for one round, get off your ego, man. Welcome to how the rest of us feel when we go play and we're challenged like that. Yeah. So
you don't get to like a superhero in the game for one day.
Yeah, just get off it, buddy.
And like you said, everyone's playing the same conditions. And look, there's very rare cases to where like the first group goes out and they get hit with a monsoon or something compared to the afternoon group, and then it works out the next day where it's flipped. But then of course
that's what they call it. They talk about that. You get the good draw, the bad draw. That's what happens.
But that's not what he was talking about this week. He was just being a baby.
He's talking about he's talking about the course in general doesn't suit his game and all this kind of crap. And
sorry, Tyrrell Hatton.
It wouldn't bother me as much if he had shown his ass throughout the weekend.
Yeah.
If he would have just played like John Rahm, I mean, he's fiery, but and by the way, Tyrrell Hatton, I think whoever was playing with him Saturday or Sunday, might have been Billy Ho, said,
I forget
actually said in an interview, like, nah, it's fine. Like, he's one of those guys. He's like, we were chatting away the rest of the time. He's like, he gets fired up out there and then he just immediately, boop, that's over. I'm done. I can't do that. Like, I have to stay. And you see guys like Scotty Scheffler, who was just in that kind of zombie mode. Tyrrell Hatton can fly hot and come down. And people would say, "Oh, didn't do it very well this week." No, he had an off week, okay. But look him around the world; he's a pretty good golfer.
Well, he still
It
made
works
the
for
cut
him
too. So it's not
right.
He had like an off. Look,
It just
he
pisses.
He did
it
not
pisses
look
me off
good
that he uses
Sunday,
that.
but
Yeah, if he wouldn't have shown his rear end, then I can take his unfair comments. If he would have played quietly and been like, I don't know, man, it's just tough for me out there. It feels unfair sometimes when you hit good shots. I get it, but you were throwing a tantrum, so
yes.
off with your head. You don't get to be played by anybody. But Alex Noren, I endorse. Billy Ho, see you later. And then Kevin Kisner is going to be chalky because I think he's going to be chalky until he doesn't make a cut or finish top 10. And he did, and he played Sunday with Tiger. So I think everybody's going to just have his subconsciously on the brain.
Projected 8% ownership right now, so not too chalky.
I wouldn't sleep on Kevin Kisner this week. I keep going back to the Georgia connection, and not because go Dogs, although go Dogs. But that area, Hilton Head, Sea Island, South Georgia, South Carolina, that coast from Ponte Vedra, Jacksonville, Ponte Vedra up to Hilton Head in Charleston, the pro golfers' haven. I mean, that's probably second only to Jupiter in the sense of concentration of pro golfers. And there's probably more in that area, just not the big names. They all play down in Jupiter.
Well, and Kiz does historically play Pete Dye courses fairly well and consistently well.
Because he's a ball striker, not a ball striker. Let me rephrase that. Well, he is a ball striker.
Yeah, he's a ball striker. Yeah,
he's a target golfer. He knows that he's not a bomber, so all he does is pick numbers and targets, and he
can put the ball right where he wants to, and it's all about whether he picked the right strategy weekend for that specific course that week, and the conditions happen to work in his favor.
All right, you've been waiting all night and morning to talk about your 7K picks.
Yeah, look, the 7K ranges is just like I said. So you got, higher up in the 7Ks, you got your Adam Hadwin, who is I'm not playing, but he, like I said, he's ranking out top in the model. So like there's some juice down here. He's just too highly owned for me, at least at this point. I do like, so I'm not playing him in my lineup. He didn't make my lineup just because he was like, I think $100 or $200 off my final spot. But someone like Tom Hoagie comes out ranking nice for me. He's going to be lower owned. And look, he's been playing fairly well this year. Actually, he's a little higher owned than I expected him to be. He's actually 15% higher owned.
That's because the Hoagie won. The Hoagie broke through. He's going to be a name.
But so he's someone I've liked just in general this year. Tournament. He finished 39th. So Russell Knox is the first place I go. 7,300 Russell Knox.
Another dog, another Georgia
model. Playing him. And then another guy whose name I don't often say, and it terrifies me to say his name, but it just feels like a week where he could sneak through and finish well here is a Mr. JJ Spawn at 7,300. He comes in top 50 in all the key stats, including top 25 in 4 of them, and top 10 in both greens and regulations and fairway gained. So
and he just won.
Yeah, he did, which I completely forgot that he won at the Valero. Like it just kind of glossed.
That's because everybody was already at Augusta. Like
exactly.
As soon as Tiger tweeted, "I'm in my plane on my way to Augusta.
Yeah,
we'll see how it goes."
Turned.
Yeah, it was like the tournament was over. You could tell the PGA Tour communications department was like, "Really, Team Tiger? You couldn't have held that off for a couple hours."
But so he did that, but then he also quietly finished T23 at the Masters this past week. He finished T27 at Valspar as well. So I mean, his last 3 appearances, he's in pretty good form right now, and he's got like I said, a good history at this specific course, I believe. So he's an every other year kind of guy. He's an every other year kind of guy when it comes to making the cut, and this is a year where he would make the cut if you want to go by that superstition. But I like JJ Spawn to wrap it all up nicely with a bow on it.
You like JJ Spawn
just for this week.
You are the
guy I can ever confidently play.
You are the founding member of the JJ Spawn fan club of New Hampshire.
Look, I'm getting the guest pass to the JJ Spawn fan club. This was kind of like when you go and you pay the $40 for like the first club, the first class club. Pass at the airport. Like that's what I'm doing with JJ Spawn this week. I don't want to be part of. I don't want to commit to the fan club, but I'm gonna test it out this week. Take a little taste.
I will say it's a spoiled treat, but once you go into those clubs and stuff, it's like, wait a minute, it's worth it for every once in a while, especially if you get along.
What am I doing going into Hudson News getting Skittles when I could be doing this?
Hudson News.
As someone who
Oh
spends a
my
lot of
God.
time in airports, I've gotten way too used
I
to
did
hunting
it.
these receipts.
I did in a former life. I used to work with schools in California, Georgia, and Vermont. So yeah, I was on the road a little bit. Hudson News. I'll tell you what. I'll see your whatever you just said.
Knox and Spawn.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Give
see
me two of your guys down here.
I'm gonna see your Russell Knox. I'm gonna meet you at Russell Knox. First of all,
Yeah.
ownership. People are sleeping on him.
Yes.
And again, I keep going back to this Georgia connection.
Mhm.
I know we're in Hilton Head. I know it's in South Carolina, so quit adding
Sure.
me. I was a world geography teacher, humble flex. But it's those guys, and they spend a lot of time down there together. So Russell Knox, I'm big. He's also, where's he at ball striking? He's up there on ball striking.
Yeah.
Top 10 ball striking. He's up there in my par threes. He's top 10 in my par threes. And his ownership is going to be low. Again, I don't know why people are sleeping on him.
He's
So
top 25 in everything except for putting, at least according to my model here.
And I mean, it's your model, so I think that's the most
But
important thing.
But
about
I
it.
think it seems like we do agree on Russell Knox. It's someone that you've liked in the past this year. You've brought up his name a few times this season so far.
I'm a loyal dog. And Mito Pereira. Mito Pereira is this. He
Mhm.
might win this week. He's the name.
He will
Ownership's
eventually.
low. He will eventually.
He's going to eventually. Yes.
He's been a popular pick recently, and again, with the rest of the world kind of sleeping, the way that I equate this week, it's almost like the same audience or population of golfers who might win at the Punta Cana when it's when everybody else is playing in a WGC or or the John Deere whenever everybody else is playing in something else, although the John Deere is a standalone event. But whenever there is an opposite field event, this is one of those. Anytime we have a post major event, look for an opposite field winner. Write it down, mark it here.
You're not wrong though. That's why we are. If you look at the guys we're talking about, we're avoiding. Like you may not notice it because the guys we're talking about, Justin Thomas is in this tournament. Dustin Johnson, Patrick Cantlay, Daniel Berger, Jordan Spieth. There's some big names in this tournament that we're just not talking about. And I think because we know, like you just said, we know watching this that this is one of those tournaments where weird stuff happens.
Speaking of weird stuff, sorry, I just pulled this towel up out of nowhere and wiped my face.
That.
I spilled my coffee, my beverage on me. And so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try to quietly, and then all of a sudden I'll sit in front of a computer and a towel just comes out of nowhere. It looks rough. Ricky Fowler at 7K.
Okay.
At that price, and name that price. It's kind of like when you see Bubba Watson out there for 6,800 every once in a blue moon. You're like, wait, what? And I don't know if he even where he ranks on any of the. I just saw that name down there because you were talking about.
I hate to say it. I think Fowler is a bit more used to this price range than you're thinking.
I know he is.
Because would it shock you if I told you that ranking out in this model, he ranks out 105th?
What happened? And that's why I just wanted to bring him up to say what happened.
But I get you. Sometimes you just see you can scroll down this list, and sometimes you're like someone like a Brant Snedeker. You're like, wait a minute, he was good a few years ago. What's he doing down here in the 6K? Oh, what did I just click on? McAfee. Okay. Every now and then you do see a Charles Schwartzel who was just very active in the Masters. He's down here in the 6K range. So I get it. Every now and then you see a name that catches you off guard in these price ranges.
All right,
Sometimes
speaking
don't
of price
fall
ranges,
for it, though.
No, well, that's what I'm saying. It's I wouldn't take Ricky down there. My question was, where? Thank you. My question was really where does he rank on your models? Because he is getting a little familiar down here, and if we're talking Ricky 7K at a place like the Waste Management, where you can almost get some nostalgia going, or even the players where he's won before, I would love the game is better when Ricky's playing well. Same thing with Matty Wolf. I don't know if you saw that little tantrum he threw, and then he broke his.
Did not see that.
He was 4. He was 4 over through the first 4. It was 4 over through the first 3 or something like that, and then he didn't
have a good start. But
and then he snapped his club across his foot or leg or whatever after the par 3, whatever in the front side. It was not a good look. And do you have anybody in that 6K range? You were really salivating about 7K guys. In many ways.
Let me see. Let me see it because I did not play anyone in the 6K range, but let me.
Okay.
Someone who might be worth taking a look at is a Joel Dahman, ranking out 25th in the model. he's kind of middle of the pack on a lot of these key stats, right around the 25 to 40 range. So he could be someone who could break through with a cut, maybe a top 30 finish. So someone like Joel Dahman, and then maybe let me see here, a Nick Taylor down here as well at 6,600, ranking out 28th. Really good hitting the greens and regulations. He's got 3 top 30 rankings in these, so he's a good ball striker, good on Pete Dye courses. So someone like a Nick Taylor 6,600 could actually be, if you really wanted to take a shot on one of these more expensive guys at the top, these more well-known names who maybe you don't believe is going to have a hangover here and just going to show up and destroy the field. Like, that's somewhere you could go, I think, in Nick Taylor for sure.
And I actually might take a shot at somebody down here in the 6K range. I like the Nick Taylor call, especially because it was a name that I didn't have in front of me. Well, you get down to the 6K range, and it's, I mean, people are everywhere.
It's a lot.
I wanted to see on our model, where my boy Hudson Swafford ranks. Which
he's down here.
He's down there.
Well, but I mean, price range wise, he's down here in price range wise.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
and
he ranks out 34th.
34th on the model. And see, and again, I go back to familiarity. He's from Sea Island, Georgia, which is down the coast a little ways. But he's from that area. He's from the Southeast. He's super, super familiar with this course.
Well, and he knows Pete Dye courses in general too. He's ranking out 5th on strokes gained, Pete Dye in general. So that's not a bad shout at that price at all.
And it's Hudson Swafford who brings Cameron Smith back into play for me this week. I like Nick Taylor. I didn't see that out there. Where's
Swafford? 2% ownership right now. Swafford.
Yeah, well, that's it. Harry Higgs, 126. I like that he did well day one at the Masters and that he made the cut. I want Harry Higgs. I want him to be.
Everybody
better.
Was talking about him after day one. I feel like maybe not everybody. But I feel like there was maybe just the way the algorithm of my Twitter feed works. I felt like I was seeing a lot of Harry Higgs conversations on Twitter.
He's just a hit anyways out there. He's a freaking gem. I'm trying to go from top to bottom. So anyways, down to the 6K range, I would take a swing at Hudson to bring somebody else back into play. Somebody else that's down here, I just freaking saw them. Where'd you go? You know I had him in mind too.
I don't.
Real quick.
A lot of guys down here.
There are a lot of guys. Adam Svensson.
Adam Svensson. I almost guessed that's who you were looking at too, actually, because he does rank out pretty well this week, actually.
Yeah, I know. I just thought that was a nice name to see right there. I was trying to pronounce it, but Doc Redman. Doc Redman's who I was actually trying to find because, again, sticking to my theme, he's a Clemson guy. Clemson, South Carolina is not too far away. Guarantee you they played some tournaments down there. Where is he on the Pete Dye courses here? Where'd you put him?
He's pretty. I just switched it up, but I know he was Doc Redman 17th on Pete Dye courses.
Yeah.
So just for the hell of it here, just because we're gonna go on the stat, just on this theory of yours here, I'm gonna quickly give you the top 10 names on Pete Dye courses, and I'll tell you right now, 3 of them are in my lineup this week: in Corey Connors, Sepp Straka, and Cameron Smith. Cameron Smith actually ranks at number 1 on Pete Dye courses this week. So. But we got Smith, we got Kisner, we got Hadwin, we got Straka. Patton Kizzire comes in at number 5, tied with Hudson Swafford on Dye courses. Plus, we got Dustin Johnson, Henley, and Hoagie rounding out in 7. And then Lowry, Connors, Berger, Hatton, and Eric Van Rooyen rounding out the top, tied for 10th on Pete Dye courses. So
Van Rooyen's a birdie machine too, and he had a rough week after a great Wednesday. There were pictures of him and his little kid. It was
I know, I saw those. Yeah.
Par 3 had par 3 course was one of those, or it was one of those. I'm not crying, you're crying. Sepp Straka. So it's funny. Did you pull these up on purpose to point out how many dogs are in that top 10
on Pete Dye courses?
Yeah,
I pulled it up because
that's crazy.
We were talking about it. I said, let's take a look at that specifically. Yeah. And I am playing Sepp Straka in my lineup this week. If the price works out, I like what I see across all the stats. He ranks out good in greens and regulations, Pete Dye courses, and putting. And that key one you said, once I added in the par 3 at those distances.
And Russell Henley there.
Top 15 there. And Henley's up there.
Yeah,
as well.
So there we go. Strokes gained, home life, or the off course, or whatever you want to call it. This bud's for you. You heard it here first. Take your SEC, your Southeastern. I don't mean Southeastern Conference. I mean SEC is in Southeastern Conference.
Yeah.
Then your Southeastern United States in general. Anybody who played golf down there, excluding South Florida. Think about coastal. Think about like coastal Carolina on down to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
There, back to you in the studio.
Yeah, no, but I think you hit it on the head there. That's definitely it's a good place to start if you want to find one specific stat to start on to kind of start building your player pool. It's a good one if you want to build like, a top 25 just based on that and then kind of break it down from there. It's not a bad place to start. There's some good names to build off of in there.
Actually, going to play Pete Dye course in about a month out in French Lick, Indiana. So I can't wait to report back after that one.
Would love to hear that. It'd be nice. I don't think I've ever played a Pete Dye course. Not been lucky enough, but I'm sure that would be nice.
Oh, they're hard.
Well, I'm sure they are. They're on the pro tour mostly, so they're meant to be hard. They're not the the $15 scrubs that I play.
Well, I mean, listen, I played it. I was playing a Muni today. It's a Muni that's in good shape and everything. It's a nice one in the area, especially. But the game is the game. I mean, you put the ball in the hole, and that's the problem too, though, is a lot of players will get on the first tee and go, I want a Pete Dye golf course. No, you need to hit a 250-yard draw.
You're on a golf course.
Yeah, there's a shot that needs to be hit, and especially when you're standing on the tee box, you're never going to get a better lie than that. So Pete Dye golf course, I like that. I like that little stat of the week there. I was going to keep it plain Jane and simple, but I'm glad you helped me see the light with that, because right out there outside of the top 10 was my guy Doc Redmond sitting there at 17. Yep. So
yeah, he's right there. So there's some gems to be had this week if you look hard enough, for sure. And I think we named a good handful for you all who are listening and watching us this week. To get you through this tournament.
Quick recap from my side: if you're going to go 10K, go with Cam Smith. Yep. We see eye to eye on Cam Smith, Russell Henley, Alex Noren, Knox, and we met in the middle on Hudson.
Yep, we did. I'm just not playing him, but I might have to play him in another lineup now.
And I agree with you that Corey Connors is probably going to win this thing, but I'm not going to play him because he cost me beer, and he's Canadian, so he's snobby about his beer. I'm just kidding. Fun. I don't know. Corey Connors is probably the nicest guy on tour, being Canadian, next to Tony Finau. I've heard Tony's super nice on tour, which is why he got away with that sweater.
Yes. Yeah, and I forget who's the guy who wore the shorts. Oh no,
Gooch.
Gooch, thank you. God, I forgot
Taylor
his name
Gooch.
Yeah, who got hammered for that? Yeah.
He got hammered on Twitter. You're right though. I mean, like somebody walked out, I was like, "Excuse me, sir."
Yeah. Shorts. You're not meeting dress code. This is Augusta.
Holy.
But yeah, so that's gonna get you set for the RBC Heritage this week. I did say that RBC, right? I keep wanting to say HBC for some reason. If for anyone who works in the grocery industry, HBC is a short term for certain aisles, health, beauty care. So I see RBC. I just
people in the biz.
I just keep thinking HBC because it's just my day job is I lay these stores out, so I think of that. So I apologize, but
repeat
RBC
after me.
Heritage,
Future former 9 to 5. No, I'm just
former
kidding.
9 to 5. Yes.
2022 RBC Heritage. You heard it here first. Your hangover picks coming to you from Divots and Pivots. Shouts Belly Up Media. It's what it is, man. It's gonna be a hangover kind of week, but stay the course. Pick one thing, do it well, and then come back for more.
Yeah, and speaking of Belly Up Media, if you haven't caught on, big things happen in Belly. We launched our live sports broadcasting kind of section of what we're doing here. So every 2 weeks not strong. Now every Monday night you can catch us Monday Night Mayhem for the NLFA, which is the North Louisiana Football Alliance. We bring you live football commentary, play-by-play color, pre-halftime and post-show for those games. So Monday nights, 7:30, and then game 2 is at 9 o'clock. You can catch it on tikilive.com on Belly Up TV. And as
Monday
always,
Night Football is not dead.
It's not dead, not at all. And as always, if you're not watching us right now, Wednesdays, 10 a.m., Tiki Live, same place, Belly Up TV. That's the home for Divots and Pivots every Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. So if you're here listening to us on podcast, appreciate it. If you want to see our faces, check out Tiki Live. We'd appreciate the support wherever you choose to support us. Find us on all of your podcast servers, just whatever you want to call them. I am word vomiting right now. But thank you for joining us, Divots and Pivots. We'll see you next week. Have a good week.